Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Stories from Real Life. I'm your host, Melvin E. Edwards. Thanks for joining me for the podcast where personal stories can have a global impact. Our guest today is the true Baconator, Bill Stitt. Bill, thank you for joining me today.
I am very happy to be here. Excited about talking about bacon today.
That's one of my favorite subjects. Bacon and baseball are two of my favorites.
Cool. Okay.
All right, so my first question, to establish how bona fide you are, how much do you love bacon?
Well, it's not an answer of how much. It's just it's more of a constant. It's bacon is not just breakfast for me. Bacon kind of goes on throughout the day, whether I'm at work or at home or enjoying some time off. Is bacon always seems to come up. So I love bacon. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do too. So what inspired you to start making your own bacon?
You know, when I was a kid, my dad sold packaging. So I got an opportunity to visit a whole lot of really cool food manufacturing facilities and meet a lot of neat people that made different products. And we were always taking people to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I was like, man, I want to learn how to make as many foods as I can. And I learned how to make bacon as a teenager. And then a few years ago, kind of started chasing my dream.
Nice. So how did Bill E.'s small batch bacon go from a backyard project to a nationally recognized brand?
Well, let me back up a little bit. As a freshman in college, I had to write a business speech about branding. And that's where I came up with Bill E's. My name is William Ernest Stitt. I'm named after my two great uncles, my great uncle William and my great uncle Ernest. And so I came up with the Billy's brand. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make Billy's beer, Billy's bourbon, Billy's this, Billy's that, and Billy's bacon, of course. So I became a chef for an independent restaurant and worked for them for a while. And then I got in the corporate restaurant business for over 20 years. And bacon kind of was always a topic, whether it was on our salad bar or things that we were putting it on. And then the company I worked with was very close to another really cool bacon company in Tennessee that I love and respect. After 20 years, I sort of retired from my corporate gig and opened my little restaurant down here in Fairhope, Alabama called Billy's. And back behind the scenes, I had a little catering kitchen, and I would prepare the bacon that I learned how to make when I was a teenager, and I would make a batch here and make a batch there. And when I kind of landed with what I felt like was the perfect recipe, I started making it and selling it in my restaurant on my recipes. And then people started coming by to get it. And then restaurants wanted it and companies wanted it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a USDA license. And somebody kind of was like, yeah, that's too hard. You'll never get it. And I don't do well when somebody tells me I can't do something. And so I wrote my HACCP and my hazard analysis plan, got all my stuff done, and applied for a USDA license, and I got it. Nice. And so here we are, and we're a little company with a big heart, and our goal is to be a big part of the bacon industry, 1 pound at a time.
Nice. All right, so why bacon and why small batch?
Why bacon? Well, you know what? Bacon is everywhere, and I feel like bacon will always be there as long as we take care of our farmers, as long as we take care of the land that the good Lord has given us, and we ensure that the folks that want to get up early in the morning and take care of animals and treat them right and raise them properly, bacon should always be here. It's a wonderful product. It's not just a topping. It should be a center of the plate premium protein is what I shoot for. And the second part of your question was, what was that again?
Why small batch?
Small batch. Okay. So I wanted to make it the way our ancestors did. And they made things in small batches because they were taking care of a family or a group of families that were, they had gone out and hunted or encountered a large animal, and they wouldn't kill it for sport. They would kill it to feed and take care of their family. And so they had to come up with recipes, and flavor was not their first goal. The first goal was to let's not let this meat spoil. Let's cure it, let's preserve it, let's smoke it, and let's ensure that we can survive the winter, or that we'll have enough protein to get us to the next animal comes along. And so I wanted small batches to be, very delicate. I wanted my team to take care of the product. I wanted to follow certain steps and processes that you just can't do in a big scale quickly. So my goal was to use small smokers, and as I grow the company, get a little bit larger smokers, yes, but add more smokers and not just necessarily have a big room with a forklift going in and out of it.
All right. So, what's the story behind serenading your bacon with live music?
So I love music. Grew up in the Mississippi Delta, a little sleepy town called Yazoo City, Mississippi.
I've heard of Yazoo City because of Jerry Clower.
Jerry Clower, what an amazing guy. My dad had coffee with him on a regular basis.
Oh, nice.
But if I would peek out of my back window looking at Highway 49, I could see the red light blinking on the water tower on top of Brickyard Hill. I could hear the sounds from the Little League baseball field across the hill. Please return the ball to the concession stand for your free snow cone. And I could hear the train coming. But there was this little structure right across 49, which had been everything from a machine shop to a bus station. It's now a barbecue restaurant, which is really cool. But it was the home of a blues singer named Gatemouth Moore. And I loved music and I loved blues. And my dad grew up, he went to 3 high schools, Clarksdale, Mississippi, Ruleville, Mississippi, and Whitehaven in Memphis, Tennessee. So music was always around me. And then when I went to college, of course, we had all these incredible bands coming to the fraternity house and on campus. And then I lived in Memphis for a little bit. So loved great music. And I loved to dive. I loved a place that, you were like, I may get in there, but I don't know if I'm going to get out. I loved a cool little dive and a place you could go in and there might be somebody hanging out in the corner. There was a place in Jackson, Mississippi called the Subway Lounge. And I went there before I was probably supposed to. But I loved that place. I always met nice and interesting people. So music was a big deal to me. So when I built Billy's, I had a live music stage. And right behind my live music stage was where I cured and smoked the bacon. So I would lock myself in there and the singer would be playing for the crowd. And I was like, this bacon's getting serenaded. It's getting sang to. So all of the singers that come and play on the stage at Billy's, they get a little sticker that says, I came and I sang to the bacon. The bacon gets serenaded. And I think it truly improves the flavor. It's the team enjoys the music. I enjoy it. The guests love it. And there's just something a little different about, what? I'm going to go to Billy's and I'm going to sing to the pork bellies.
Maybe it's like singing to plants. Maybe they grow or
right.
differently. It's funny you talk about Delta blues. Like there's some very distinctive types of blues. I like the blues and happen to be related to some pretty famous Texas blues musicians. But you got Delta blues, Memphis blues, Chicago blues, and Texas blues. And for Texas, actually Texas and Chicago, a couple of musicians come from my family line. Lightning Hopkins.
Wow.
And Albert Collins.
Amazing. Wow. Do you have some of their memorabilia and fun stuff?
I don't. It's funny that it didn't really matter to me who they were when I was a kid. And we'd be at the same family reunions and I'd say, oh, okay. So there's our cousins again. Like it wasn't a big deal. And then when Lightning died in 82, I was like 15 years old or something. And that's when I finally started getting interested in his music. And then I didn't know Albert Collins was related to me. Or I didn't know who he was. Like we were at the same family reunion, but I didn't know who he was until probably 5 years ago. And by that time he had already passed away too.
Gotcha.
So I missed out on a couple of big opportunities.
Well, blues is the stories never end, and the memorabilia is getting lost and scattered. And I tell that story more often, and people will go out and they'll actually find stuff for you.
Oh, nice.
And something might show up in a manila envelope at your office one day, and it might be just something signed by one of them or a picture someone took, and you're like, wow, this is really cool.
That would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit more about bacon.
Okay.
Let's walk through the curing and smoking process. How do you do that?
Okay. So first thing is all about selection. I just, I'm not looking for the cheapest bellies. I'm not looking for, just any old pork belly. I really want to know that the farmers took great care. I want to know that they didn't inject them with hormones or growth antibiotics. I want to know that the pigs, they were raised properly. They weren't in a 10 by 10 or a 12 by 12 for 8 to 10 months. I want to know that they could go outside and play in the rain and get inside and write in coloring books. I want to make sure that they were treated right. And, I just think so. When you choose, you take that much time to really choose great ingredients, it makes a big difference. So then the brown sugar needs to be made with real molasses. The salt needs to be just the right texture. And then, so we cure them for 8 days, and 8 didn't just fall into our laps. We tested everything. So it's not 7, it's not 9, it's 8 days. 8 days they sit in our cooler where they're encrusted in that brown sugar with the real molasses and the heavy salt. And that's where the magic's kind of happening. They start off dry, and then they in the tubs that the liquid starts coming out, and then they're sort of marinating after 8 days under refrigeration, and then we smoke them. And people are always asking me, "Well, Billy, what wood do you use? And is it a chip? Is it like a block, a chunk, or is it big logs?" And I use a hickory chip, and I picked hickory because that's the way I was trained to make it. But also, it was available all over North America, and it burns even. It burns properly. It doesn't burn too fast. It doesn't burn too hot. It doesn't bury the protein in such a smokiness that you forget that it's bacon. So the selection of the ingredients that I use, the selection of the hogs, the time I take makes a huge, huge difference. The other guys, when they're curing, they're it's a money game. Don't get me wrong, and I'm in this to be successful. But the big companies will either put somebody in a yellow suit and have them go spray the product down with a liquid smoke, or they will inject it with a cure where they're trying to get them cured in 24, 48 hours so they can turn and burn. I'm not going to change my process. I want it to be slow and methodical. Um, and it's very the small batch and the 8 days, the hickory chips, and all really, really make a big difference. And of course, it gets serenaded. So there you go.
So is that a satisfying process for you?
Yeah, I've landed with the process. I will have to scale. Um, I am going to have to scale. And when I mean scale, I need to find the right partner that's not in a hurry. Somebody that's, wants to see this brand really be successful and grow. And someone that will appreciate that we want to do it right here, and we want to be a big part of our community, and we want to create jobs and opportunity. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm at a just trying to figure out my next stage, my next steps right now.
Okay, so let's talk about the restaurant side of your business. So which came first, Billy's Bacon or the restaurant?
So Billy's Restaurant started, oh gosh, 2011. Um, Found a little place right outside of town, and I knew I wanted to open a hamburger joint. I wanted to have burgers and hot dogs and great French fries and maybe a salad or two and some chicken wings and chicken tenders and just good comfort, casual dining food. I wanted my environment to be not corporate, not cookie cutter. I wanted it to be a whole lot of reclaimed products. I call it a happy accident. When stuff that people have given up on, I wanted to put some use and purpose to. But I wanted it to be clean and comfortable and delightful. There's indoor dining with some air conditioning, and then there's some indoor outdoor dining with a little bit of air conditioning. It's cold in the winter, it's hot in the summer. Then there's a lot of outdoor dining with tents, and I tell everybody if a possum walks across your feet, we might charge extra. And that's happened. The restaurant came first, and it is definitely my love and my passion. And my favorite part about the restaurant is the people, the team. They come in and, you greet them with, what's today's Thursday? Happy Thursday. What's going on? Tell me about your family. Tell me what's been going on. And that was my favorite part of being in the corporate restaurant business is, everybody was moving and shaking, but I like to slow people down and say hello and, tell me about your day. Happy Thursday, happy whatever day it is. That little interaction might be just enough to help somebody get over something that you don't know about, and you maybe not even need to know about. When you greet your team members, you don't know what just happened. You don't know if their dog got run over, or their grandmother's ill, or they're going through a tough time in a relationship, or they're just not in the right spot in their head, but their work can be a positive outlet for them. So you need to make it positive and fun and energetic as you can, but still pushing and coaching and challenging them to do their best in all that they do. So I love the restaurant business. I really, really do.
Hey, you're making me hungry here, by the way. Too bad Alabama's pretty far from Texas, but I do have a couple of friends in Alabama, and
Okay.
I go visit them. One's in Muscle Shoals, one's in Mobile.
Cool. I love Mobile's just across the bay.
Okay, I actually had someone from Mobile on my podcast last week.
Really? I
Yeah,
might know.
you probably do. We'll talk about that after the show.
Sounds
All
good.
right. So, what do the restaurant and bacon brand, or how do they feed into each other, literally and figuratively?
Okay. Well, there's two companies. There's Billy's, the restaurant, and Billy's Small Batch Bacon, the USDA company. So the restaurant markets the bacon because it's our signature ingredient. It's in things, it's on things, it's wrapped around things. The bacon company markets the restaurant. They both promote each other. They're hand in hand. But of course, there were times when my restaurant was the biggest customer for my bacon company. That's not the case now, but it was still a pretty big customer. Um, the energy going back and forth is undeniable. The people in the restaurant have to understand that there's another little company right on the other side of that wall. And the people in the baking company have to know the same thing. They're not just here just making bacon. There's a whole lot going on right on the other side. And they share a few things and do a few things together at times. The baking guys get here super early in the morning, and the restaurant people are here pretty late at night. So it's an interesting dynamic. It really, really is. And a lot of people, when it really hit me was I DBA'd the restaurant and called it Old 27 Grill in the beginning. It was Billy's LLC, but I DBA'd it as Old 27 Grill because it used to be County Road 27 at 181. And we went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of struggles, a lot of really hard times, hurricanes and storms and pandemics, and you name it, it hit us. And those things like that will always come and go. But I had started the bacon company, and it was catching on, and people were buying it. And then I had a couple of people would pull in, and they were like, "Man, I'm here to get the bacon. I had no idea you had a restaurant." I was like, "Okay, I get it. All right, that's it." So we had to drop the DBA of Old 27 Grill. So we didn't have to do anything legally because the LLC of Billy's had already been established. So it was kind of in the plan in the beginning, but it really made sense. So we just slowly dropped the Old 27 Grill. The sign on the highway changed to Billy's. The sign on the top of the building changed to Billy's. And the menu titles changed. There's still a few things that say Old 27 Grill on them. But when those customers looked at me and they said, "I had no idea you had a restaurant," I was like, "That's it. We're Billy's now." So we're Billy's the restaurant and Billy's Small Batch Bacon. Still two companies, but one at heart.
Okay. So, what's your personal favorite item on the restaurant menu, and why is it your favorite?
All right. My big seller is the bacon cheeseburger, and I love it. But if I could order whatever I wanted any day, it would be a chili cheeseburger with crisp red onion, no lettuce, no tomato. Not that I don't like lettuce and tomato, but I believe that a chili cheeseburger just deserves some dill pickles and crisp red onion and chili with no beans. You're a Texan, you understand the no
Yes,
bean comment.
you're speaking my language here. Chili
Yeah,
with no beans.
yeah. So and not too sloppy, you know. You still want to know you got a burger, but a chili cheeseburger with some great French fries, and man, there's nothing much better. That would be my go-to.
How late are you open today?
9 o'clock. If you could be here and probably you can make it. Come on.
All right, man, you're making me hungry. All right, so how has your restaurant adapted over the years, especially with the rise of the foodie culture?
So the foodie culture, and what a great comment, by the way. I'm a firm believer, and I'm not insulting the Food Network by any means, but I'm a firm believer that the not just the Food Network, but the internet and the ability, the growth of the foodie and the home foodie and the home chef have destroyed the corporate restaurant industry. They're not going away. They will adapt, and many of them will do really really well. But corporate restaurant became a bad word. But it's unfair, and I may be getting off on a tangent here. It's unfair because corporate restaurants all started like I did. They all started with one guy and one girl or a family that said, let's build a restaurant based on a burger. Let's build a restaurant based on a taco or a rib or something, some kind of hook. And but as it grew, it became corporate and it became a bad word. And I hate that because I would jump at the chance to hire a Ruby Tuesdays, a Chili's, an Applebee's, an O'Charlie trained person because I know they got trained right. And I know they were given great foundations. So you're seeing the balance kind of get a little better now. The big corporate ones that were able to adapt did really well, and they're going to be okay. Where I struggle is I don't have the buying power. I don't have the ability to lock in. You know, hamburger is at a all time. Ground beef is at an all time high right now, and I'm a burger joint, and I can't go out and corner 12 months worth of ground beef at a set price, whereas the big guys can.
Okay, so the next handful of questions are about entrepreneurship and brand building. So, what were your biggest challenges in scaling a specialty food product?
Just well, space was a big challenge. We wanted to do things small batch, but we still had to be able to make enough to pay the bills. Space is a big challenge. Passionate people. We went through a few until we really landed, and we have some very passionate people right now. And then just the ability to get the right quantity just in time of the ingredients that I needed, from hickory chips to sugar and salt and the right bellies. Believe it or not, the meat industry is pretty cutthroat. I don't have any big meat companies calling me saying, "Hey, Billy, we're proud of you. We want to see you successful." I do have a lot of them saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then you're starting to see their stuff kind of looking similar to some of the things that I've developed. But that's fine. But the Billy's brand is strong. We don't want to be everywhere, but we want to be in the right places everywhere. And the right place might be a pretty cool bait shop at a boat marina where you could pick up a pack of bacon and take it out on a fishing trip and camping trip. It might be at a high-end ski resort. It might be at a luxury hotel. It might be at a hunting camp that, you never would have thought about. But it also is in the home chef's kitchen all across the country. It's also in some guy with a big yacht that just wants to have the best bacon possible. It's at the condos. It's at the beach condos. And when the kids get up and you've got 6 families all sharing a bunch of bedrooms and the kids get up, you cook the store-bought bacon, you feed the kids, you push them down to the beach, and then you break out Billy's bacon. Billy's adult. Yeah.
Save the good stuff for grown up.
Good times. Yeah. So, we want to be everywhere, but we want to be tactfully everywhere. And we want it to be a special occasion bacon, but more often. I need to scale properly.
All right.
Did that give a good answer?
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did you build buzz around Billy's brand?
The visual, the flavor, once people start using it, they don't stop. I don't have very many customers that have taken my bacon and used it in their brand that have quit doing it. And the ones that have were either acquired by another company and they tried to they made a financial decision to go back to something of a lower price. That doesn't bother me. If you've used it once, I appreciate you. But the ones that are continuing to use it and to use it more than on just one thing, I love you and I depend on you. It's the flavor. It's the flavor and it's the look and the feel. It's not so smoky that you forget that it's bacon. You forget that it's a pork. It's not so buried in. It's not buried in some crazy flavor. Um, it's uh, it's it's a respected protein. It's pretty interesting.
Nice. All right. So, have you had any mentors or pivotal moments that changed the course of your business?
Quite a few, and I feel like I'm about to encounter quite a few more. From a mentor perspective, my father. My father was my biggest hero, my biggest cheerleader. Um, the guy sold empty bags and boxes. He got up every morning. He was in the corporate business for a little while, and then he went off on his own, and he became a legend. I mean, he helped people, put a widget in a bag or a box, and help people get it to their customers not broken. He helped people make bags for their food, pouches, boxes, corrugated boxes, form and field packaging. He was just really, really cool. So he was definitely my biggest mentor. His really close friend had food manufacturing companies in Southern Illinois, and every time I would go there, I would just be in awe, and not just about the great products they were putting out, but the way they were able to get cool people in a small town to drive these different factories and companies. And it was just mesmerized with it. And I wanted to be a part of that. Other mentors were people in the corporate restaurant business that I think a lot of them found out that, I loved what I do. I really, really enjoy getting up in the morning and running restaurants and making products. And I was passionate. And some of the leaders that I worked for Ruby Tuesday Restaurants, and I loved it. Some of the leaders that I had, as I progressed, that I always got different bosses, and they all had a different passion and a different drive, and I learned a little bit from each of them. And they gave me a chance to take a part of that company and grow it, and I loved it. I really, really did. So a lot of mentors in the corporate restaurant business, a lot of mentors I've met in the bacon industry and the pork industry that encouraged me, that have picked up the phone at times and said, stick with it. Don't quit. You've got something, Billy. And then some that have created other things that have picked up the phone to call me or stop by to say, you got something, Billy, and we believe in you. That's got me through some hard times.
All right. So, what's your proudest pinch me moment so far?
Wow. There's a couple of them. There's more than a couple. I guess when we started to put this place together, when I looked up on the roof and my son was above the sign holding it as the carpenter was screwing it into the building. I'll never forget that moment. And he helped me. When I would get a used piece of equipment, he would go and find all the parts that were missing and help me make it work. And then he helped me string the lights. And then my daughter is a little bit older than my son. Her creative passion to help me make these grazing and charcuterie boards and help me with catering events at times when I didn't have enough people from the restaurant where I couldn't pull from there to have them help me go do a big event. She would show up and, just to have my arm around her and someone to take our picture after we just did a giant presentation of food. Other great moments are, I don't know, when somebody from the Downtown Grill that I used to work with and loved in Oxford, Mississippi, or someone with Ruby Tuesdays that I worked with and cared about shows up here or calls me or or pops in just to say, man, I always knew you were going to do something cool. Those are big moments. And then every day when my team tells me something good, you get greeted with enough rough stuff, but every day when somebody comes up and says, let me show you something cool, let me show you what I cleaned, let me show you what I made better, those are proud moments. That's three different categories: family and work and team family.
Very nice. Very nice. So, how do you balance tradition and innovation in your products?
The tradition has to always be there. You cannot compromise that. Innovation comes from how do you make the traditional recipe in larger quantities without compromising. To balance that, you got to ask your team what they think, and you've got to challenge them to be able to make more without losing the quality. But you can't let someone tell you you can't do something. Now, there's nothing wrong with somebody on my team telling me we shouldn't do something, but you have to have enough giddy up and go to still try. Because if you don't try, you can't just sit there and say it's not going to work. I never stand for somebody on my team saying, well, that's not going to work, or I don't like that. Okay, I didn't ask you that question. I said, can we try this? Should we try this? And they might say no or whatever. And you just, sometimes the process of trying and the failure helps you get to that win. And it drives me nuts when somebody says, well, we can't grow because we don't have the people, or we can't do this because we don't have the right person, or we don't have the right building, or we don't have the right grill. We'll get it. Tell me what you need, but don't tell me we can't. Get up every morning telling me we can. So that balance of tradition and innovation, it's a delicate balance, but you always got to have somebody trying something a little different, but not messing up your regular routine.
All right. Do you ever get tired of bacon?
Never. No, I do not. I love bacon. It's awesome. I've lost 80 pounds in the last 3 years. I've completely changed my life. I was looking at 55 years old a few years back, and I was like, man, I'm going to lose 55 pounds before my 55th birthday. And I challenged myself. I was going through all kind of just really negative stuff. Things weren't right. But I was like, if I don't fix me, I'll never get where I need to get. And so I challenged myself, and I've lost 80 pounds.
Nice.
And I'm having a ball now. I sleep better. I work better. I get more things done. I think better. Heck, I look better, I think. I don't know. I still got a little more to lose, but I eat bacon every day. My team knows when I walk the line, I'm going to grab a piece of bacon and I'm going to check it out every single day. And they are passionate about my bacon. When they cook it to go on our BLTs or go on our burgers, man, they put some love into it. And when those guys in the bacon room are making it, there's no cutting corners. They're going to make it exactly right all the time.
Making bacon.
That's right.
So how has being a business owner changed you? Or has it changed you?
I missed the big paycheck. I really did. I struggle with, so many times you just don't pay yourself. You can't. The business owner piece, I guess it would be different if I didn't love and believe in what I'm doing. I can't imagine somebody starting a business not based on love and care for what they want to do. I just can't imagine having enough money where you're like, all right, I got to start a few other businesses. Let me just pick a few things. Let me go on LinkedIn and pick something that looks cool. I guess that works for some people, but I think it's the deep drive and devotion that I have for food and for people and for hospitality that I think I'm a good business owner. I know I am. I care about my people and I care about my product, and when I pull into the parking lot in the morning, I walk around and pick up pieces of trash. And I think about my dad one time when he was with me one early morning, and I was picking up stuff in the parking lot and complaining and whining about it. And he looked at me and he goes, "Just think if you didn't have any trash to pick up." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're exactly right, Dad." And yeah, business ownership is rough at times, but I love it. I really, really do. And to look across the courtyard and see those smiles on people's faces when they're getting great food and having great service, and listening to the music, it's pretty cool.
How satisfying is it when people get ready to get up from their tables and walk out of your restaurant and say, "Man, I need a nap now," or "I think I ate too much"?
That's a good feeling. I tell everybody, that make sure you have a couch. If you know, but yeah, that's really satisfying when people have a great meal, whether it's just an appetizer and a couple of beers, or a big old burger, or a country fried steak, which is our special right now. Man, you're a Texan, you respect that.
Yes, you are speaking my language.
Yeah, I mean, mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans with bacon in them, unbelievable. But then again, we've got a grilled salad, a big hunk of romaine, lightly grilled with blue cheese, and we put grilled shrimp on top of it. It's a pretty cool salad.
Even that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, you're convincing me. All right, last couple of questions here for you. So, what's next for Billy's? Are there any new flavors, new locations, new ideas?
Well, we want where we are to be here forever. We want this to be home base. We need to scale the restaurant, and the goal and the vision is to have 5 or 6 more. I'd like to go 3 to the west: Mobile, Alabama; Ocean Springs, Mississippi, somewhere on the coast; Covington, Louisiana. I'd like to go 3 to the east: Pensacola, Destin, 30A. That would give me 6 little Billy's. Definitely not as big and crazy as this place, but little bacon and burger joints, casual order from the counter kind of deal. But I could be at each of them and back in my own bed at night. And I want them to be company owned, but I want the people that run them to have some skin in the game. I'd like to start the brand that way. And I have the plan is written, it's on paper, it's not just in my head. We want to do that. And then we would like to push north to smaller communities, small college towns. If we go to a big college town, we don't necessarily want to be right out there and right next to the stadium, or maybe right downtown. We might want to be kind of in that little building outside of town, and everybody was like, "Man, somebody finally got in there and did something with that thing," And then with the bacon company, it's endless. We're gonna have to scale it. We're going to have to make more. We want to also produce a few lines of bacon for other people. We want to make other parts of the pig. We want to do our butts and our shoulders and our ribs and all parts of the hog, so we can be, be a little better for be better for the business, but also better for the farmer if we were buying all parts of the hog.
Okay. So, if you could collaborate with any chef or brand, who would it be?
Man, that's a great question. I'll say it. My hobby is motorcycles. I like 2 wheels. I really enjoy that. It clears my head. I'm not on the phone. I'm not thinking about other things. I'm focusing on the road, focusing on the car in front of me, behind me, around me. There is this really cool brand that they have food, but they also have a motorcycle environment. And I can't stop watching what they do. And I've not met them. They don't know me from Adam. I did send them some bacon, didn't really hear much back from them. But it's a little, I don't know if it's a little company or a big company, but they're called Bike Shed Moto. They've got one in Los Angeles, and they've got one in England, and I think they're opening some others. But they just intrigue me. I want to be Billy's Bold Adventure Bacon. I want to be the bacon for bikers, the bacon for boaters, the bacon for backpackers. I would love to be a part of what they're doing, even if they just use my bacon as a special every now and then. I don't know if they're listening or not, but you asked the question, and right now that's what's in my head is like, why am I not there? I love motorcycles. We have a Bacon Burgers and Bikes event here every month. Why am I not in that place? We live in LA, the other LA, Lower Alabama. Bike Shed Motos in LA. I mean, I want to get on an airplane with a bunch of bacon, or actually I want to get on my motorcycle with a bunch of saddlebags packed with bacon and ride to Los Angeles and give them some bacon, and then the relationship just explode. That's where I want to be today, if you answering your question.
That sounds like a plan right there.
Yeah.
All right, for a final question, I always ask my guests to leave us with some advice on any topic you'd like.
Okay. Pray a lot and pray often and be thankful and gracious and but spend a whole lot of time really putting a lot of thought into your people and your processes and your plan. Use your mentors. Don't be afraid to ask somebody on your team what they think about something. Don't get offended if you don't like their answer, but pray often. It works. It's the only reason I'm still here. And I'm not ashamed to say that.
Well, that's a good way to wind down this conversation. So our guest today has been entrepreneur Bill Stitt of Billy's Small Batch Bacon and Restaurant. Billy, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I've had a blast. This is really, really good for me.
Thanks. So please go to my website at podcastreallife.com for more information about my guest and the things we discussed today. That's it for today's episode of Stories from Real Life. Join us again next time for another chance to learn from each other. Until then, don't forget to shine your light wherever you go.